There were two different games, so. If you would please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you will please remain standing as we remember those that have given their life for this country, both abroad and here at home, and as we remember those from our community that have also passed, especially we remember Kathleen Demarest. Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight. I'd like to invite up Michelle Reese from M&R Energy to give us a presentation on a possible savings program. We've seen something similar in the past, and she has, Michelle has actually done a presentation at the Orange County, at one of the Orange County monthly meetings, and excellent possibilities for the village. Michelle?
Hi everyone, my name is Michelle. Nice to see you all. Basically,
If you would, Michelle, we actually can hear you fine, just if you could face the camera.
oh sure, oh my
So, because
gosh.
that's, we're going to understand what you're doing pretty well, but we want to make sure that the community
Sure,
understands. Thank you.
absolutely. I'm from M&R Energy Resources Corporation, and we ran a bid for Orange County for natural gas and electric. And we serve almost every municipality in Orange County. And in the past, I've met with the mayor and I've met with the village of Highland Falls a few years ago. And basically, you are buying from an alternate energy supplier, which I found out a couple of years ago when I first approached them, which is a good thing in many ways because you're avoiding the fluctuations that take place when you buy from Orange and Rockland. So if you're with the utility, you're basically subject to whatever the commodity price is each month. And there's big fluctuations. I mean, last month electric was 14.9 cents with Orange and Rockland. So, you know, and then they could go down to 8, but they can go back up to 16. And you're basically subject to those fluctuations. A few years ago, I don't know how long ago that they initially started doing this, but there's a company down in Florida, I believe it's Consumer Energy Solutions. They basically are coming to the village and saying, you know, here's some pricing for your accounts, and that's all well and good because I think that it's somewhat on the fair side. What isn't good about it is that you're getting a decent price, but not the best price you can get. So basically, what M&R Energy does is we are an approved natural gas supplier in Orange and Rockland, Central Hudson, ISIC. We go out to electric suppliers and ask, we give them all your information, all your account numbers, and show them the volume of what exactly the Village of Highland Falls is using. And I'll just give you quickly, so this is all your electric usage, which was pulled a couple of years ago. So if it's changed at all, you can just maybe pass those down. You use a substantial amount of electricity, almost 1 million kilowatt hours. So every fraction of a cent, if you'd like to, Ed, you want to
Sure.
take a copy of that? If you ladies, I certainly have extra few. So pull all this information and we present it to electric suppliers who then come back with the best price for the Village of Highland Falls. So you're not just getting a good price, you're getting the best price that you possibly can get. Now, I asked some suppliers for, again, I'll give you some copies of these, and then I can explain it to you. You go ahead. This basically breaks down different terms, different, the advantage to having somebody like M&R Energy, first of all, we're a local company. We are taxpayers in this community. We care about, we care about Orange County. I'm actually personally worried about Orange County. So I look at all this and see where one supplier it may look attractive, another supplier might come in with a much better price for you. So this gives you, I don't know if this is confusing, and I certainly can ask any questions, but basically it's 3 suppliers on the left-hand side. It's different terms that they've offered, pricing, and what each one of those prices are. And then I did, this current contract price is an absolute estimate. I'm not 100% sure what your current price is, but where electric was trading 2 years ago, which is about when you signed that. And then a price that you could get now, and the projected savings. So, I mean, basically, the best way to tackle this is choose a date that you want to get electric pricing and get fair apples-to-apples comparison from several suppliers, and you then have the best prices that you can get. Your renewal is up in November. You'll be up for, and of course you can just sign with any electric supplier, but you want to sign with the supplier who has the best price for you. It's just bidding it out and making sure that, I live in the village of Cornwall, and my mom saw in the paper, the village found some person that they were going to sign up for their energy, and I was like, oh my goodness, I gotta get down and speak to them. And basically, what you don't realize is that the difference on 1 million kilowatt hours, 0.071 versus say 0.078, is $7,000 on 1 million kilowatt hours. So that's why you want to make sure. It may not seem like a lot, but because of the volume that you have, every fraction of a cent makes a difference. So I don't know if you have any questions or.
This is our total kilowatt hours,
Exactly,
865?
yeah.
Okay.
And those are, again, I don't know if you omitted any accounts or added any accounts since this was done, but this is, basically what it was a couple of years ago. So I don't know if you have any questions. I think, another thing is to never let your existing contracts go to a variable rate. You may have a very fair price at 7 cents, and it's typical what happens with, when M&R Energy watches this, we take care of all of it. We don't allow these contracts to ever expire, which is why I've been kind of bugging you, even though, maybe not bugging, but reminding, because you say that this gets lost in the shuffle, and you all of a sudden, which had happened to you guys a while back, when your fixed rate expires, all bets are off. So you could easily go from paying, say, a great fixed rate of 7 or 8 cents a kilowatt hour. Now all of a sudden your supplier's charging you 14, 15 cents every month because you didn't realize that the contract expired. And unfortunately that comes out of our taxpayers' dollars, things like this. So I gave you Orange and Rockland's 12-month average, which is almost 10 cents. It's due in November, but you cannot wait till the bitter end. You need to look at this. And again, the reason why I've been kind of reaching out is electricity's at historical lows. You don't have to wait until the end. And you certainly don't want to look at this in July or August just because it's not a great time to look at it. So it would either be, sometime in the spring or then maybe September, but not.
Why?
Because electric prices normally spike in the middle of the summer.
You mean even though our contract is up till November, you can lock us in at whatever rate is now for December?
Absolutely. For when this, you can look at this, I mean, the county, for example, their contract doesn't expire for quite a while, but they've already signed the contract that starts when that contract expires.
Now, what happens if we lock in at 7 cents and then when it expires, something happened and all of a sudden everyone's offering 5 cents?
You're locked in. The same way you are now.
Right.
You know, there's been fluctuations, like I can almost guarantee that a rate you could get right now is lower than where prices were 2 years ago. So, again, I'm not exactly sure of that information, where you are, but, right now, you can guarantee that you're gonna be lower. I mean, we could look at this in 2 months from now, and the price could be higher. It's a commodity, it changes every single second of every single day. It's like crude oil, pork bellies, whatever, you know, it's a constant changing, and it's traded on the futures market, which means that you can go out into the future and fix a price for any period that you want to fix a price for.
Is this a 2-year contract? I mean, if we're.
The one that is existing was a 2-year contract. Pat and I met in November, or close to November of 2013, I think,
Right, it was
Around-
right before I became mayor.
right?
And we were locked into what we have now.
Yeah.
And that's why it ends in November, and that's why we.
Right, you were then already in an existing contract.
Right.
And, again, I don't think that the price that you have is horrible, but if it has even, if it could have been 7.4 and it's 7.7, that's, you know,
Do you have the price we have now?
$2,000. Excuse
Do you have
me,
the price we have now on here? Or is that
I'm
the
not
one or
sure.
12 month? Okay,
I'm not, I guessed at this current contract price, I'm not sure. I
Gotcha.
did that, I looked back at, you know, some
and they're all
matrix
2-month,
pricing.
2-month contracts?
2-year?
2-year, I meant?
You can do whatever you wanna do.
Can you go-
That
can you go longer?
parameters,
Can you go longer than 2 years?
absolutely, the
Would-
parameters of your, you know, when you do this is completely up to you. It's,
Okay.
you define the parameters, so you can say, listen, I wanna see pricing for 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, 36 months. You define the parameters and you choose what you want, you know, what you think is the best thing for the village, for the people of the village. You know, I don't know what you're doing now, you can have dual bill where you get a bill, that's, you know, something that a lot of people don't understand about electric bills. Electric bills are broken into 2 sections. One is your delivery. Your delivery is never going away. That's Orange and Rockland's operating expenses. People don't realize that we pay cumulatively to maintain the infrastructure. We pay when all the poles go down. We pay for Orange and Rockland's employees, their trucks, their benefits, we are their only source of revenue. So as a base, me, my house, your houses, every business, every, you know, village, every town pays to maintain Orange and Rockland's infrastructure. It's the supply that you're talking about here. So the delivery will never go away, and it doesn't change if you buy from O&R, ABC Company, Direct, it doesn't change. The delivery is set in stone. What you're talking about is the actual commodity, the supply that you're using.
Right.
If we were to lock into like, let's say a 2-year contract, are there parameters with the usage as far as like this, let's say you're consuming 845,000 kilowatt hours a year. And let's say for some ungodly reason, we only consume 600. Would we still lock into the same rate regardless? I mean, is there?
Yes, as long as you didn't do
Minimum
something
usage?
like, the only, and that's actually a very good question. It's a lot of people, you know,
Huh?
yeah, there are contracts that have plus or minus,
Right.
because what could happen is that, I mean, think about it, you're literally going out and purchasing your energy for yourself. So, if, say you have a hospital, like, you know, Orange Regional Medical Center, and they decide to build a new wing or a new, then there are clauses in here, plus or minus 25%, or, you know, but the likelihood of your, I mean, only you would know if you're gonna close down something significant. I mean, I would never mislead you. But if your usage were to go up drastically, then they would have to revisit the difference.
What if we were to institute a solar array or something, renewable energy here in
If
the
you
village?
think that you're going to do that, then I would probably lean towards going a shorter period, but I certainly can, I mean, you're subject to that right now, under the contract that you're with. I will tell you that Direct Energy, I mean, is the language in these agreements, it's absolutely there. It's in, and I would never, again, tell you that it's not. Do they go back and collect on it? Some of these companies in the entire history of their existence never have. But something that severely would increase or decrease your usage certainly should be taken into consideration, I think.
Could you explain what M&R Resources does? Are you a clearinghouse or are you?
No. We are an approved natural gas supplier. So we serve the largest users in Orange and Rockland, hospitals, Rockland Bakery, everybody knows Rockland Bakery, a lot of school districts, things like that. And what was happening is we were going in and visiting our gas customers who were getting creamed on electricity. So we formed channel partnerships. I mean, we would also bid on your natural gas as well. So we formed channel partnerships with several electric companies, and it's a service for being your natural gas. I'm sure you're buying from Direct Energy for your natural gas as well, and I'm not sure how you're doing there, but I mean, it's certainly something that we could, we could look at and put that all together for you. And our real focus here in Orange and Rockland, Central Hudson is natural gas. But we saw a need to help people with the electricity. So that's why we do the electricity.
When did you start doing the electricity?
A long time ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, almost 10 years ago. So, I'm actually, I've almost as long as I've been working for the company. So I'm actually an ex-banker, but I used to work in Manhattan, and the commute, once you have kids, that's kind of goes out the window. So, but yeah, a long time, and we know this inside and out. So, Pat had asked a long time ago, a couple of years ago. The Orange County did the whole process, and you certainly can be, kind of covered under their umbrella, so.
And basically, we looked at this 2 years ago, but the problem was we had just signed. This is a great program. This is something that, there's several different other areas, not just electric and gas, but a lot of different other areas that we looked at to save money.
Yeah, the other thing is I don't know whether you, do you have any power that's generated, or power that's covered by generators? Because if you do, and you can go off the grid,
Right.
and there's, like the town of Woodbury is doing it, and, there are programs that we would just let you know about,
We
demand.
don't have enough kilowatts to be
You
adjusted.
know,
They checked, well, they actually called us,
Yeah.
and we checked with it, and they said that we didn't have enough for us to do the program.
Okay, yeah, because that demand response is saving, well, it's another way for municipalities to gain some money. If you can go off the grid on a very hot day, they pay you to go off the grid, so, and it's working for people because they don't get penalized if they say no, but if they do, they literally pay you, which is, but that's something maybe down the road, you look at those, you don't have any water treatment plants?
We do, but the generator capacity isn't large enough to warrant. I
Okay.
think we
You
mentioned
did
the
the
kilowatt,
study,
yeah, we did it.
Yeah, I know some of the municipalities have done the study and they don't qualify
Yeah.
because of the size of the generators,
It
so,
was a small one.
yeah. But,
Now, you're saying lock in before, long before the deadline. Now, if we were to ask you for a
Absolutely.
rate today, what would the rate be?
The rate as of today was, with the people that came in lowest was,
This is current, this is,
the one that's blue,
okay,
the 24 months.
Oh, okay.
That is as of this afternoon,
all right.
based on those accounts, so, you know, and again, you just pick a date, that you wanna get pricing, and, you know, and make sure that it's before. The reason why I say be a little like prudent and go a little early is because say you decided that, or, you know, a supplier came in much cheaper than what you're currently doing. You need time to switch from one supplier to another. You need a 6 to 8 week window. You don't want to end up stuck where you can't get moved over quick enough and you're paying, you know, in 1 month. Like, I have seen these variable rates go as high as 18, 19 cents a kilowatt hour.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's not fair.
One quick question.
Sure.
The capacity zone charges that we're all subject to.
Yeah,
They're
they're done.
How can you get us around
factored in.
those?
They're factored in with the delivery charges, so that is static, or is that?
No, what happened in May of 2014, is that, you know, the Zone G, the Federal Energy Regulatory Committee came and said that Zone G has an infrastructure problem. There's power bottlenecking from Niagara. Indian Point is problematic, as we all know. Dance Camera was taken out by Hurricane Sandy. To make a very long story short, and I thought it was absolutely atrocious that they did this, but the federal government did a complete study and said, your infrastructure isn't stable enough and we need to generate income and to generate, you know, to get revenue to entice production to come back into our area. So they came back and got all us, you know, basically, I just remember being, because to me it's just another way to tax you. It's just another way to, you know, but what they did was, if you were under contract, and you may have been subject to this, actually you probably were subject to this. So, even if you were under contract as of May of 2014, every single agreement, energy agreement that's ever written has a change of law clause in it. And that change of law clause says that if the Federal Energy Regulatory Committee or the government changes our infrastructure in any way, they have the right to come back and charge us. But that affected supply, not delivery. That is all done now, and any price that you get should absolutely be an all-in price. Should be include energy, capacity, ancillaries, and line losses. Because if your fixed price doesn't include all of that, you are not really getting a fair apples to apples comparison. You know, and there are, unfortunately, in this industry, you know, players that if they don't release all the information, you could be agreeing to something. I mean, I've had people call me up and say, I got this great price, and I know that something's wrong, because it's like me telling you that you can, you know, go down the street and get gas for $1.99 a gallon. We all know that that's not feasible. And this is exactly the same thing. It's a commodity. So you have to know what a lot of companies were doing. We took a stand to immediately tell everyone about the new zone and to educate them and help them understand. But companies were coming forward and not revealing that. So you could be agreeing to a price that was going to go away in May of 2014, and you had no acknowledgement of that. So those are the kind of things that you want to know. Is this an all-in fixed rate? And you know, there are contracts written that I've seen them written, and a lot of times on the natural gas side that will say, this is a fixed rate for 50% of your usage. Well, what good is that? You know, it's so deceiving, because what's the other 50% going to be billed at? Or, you know, there's all different ways to maneuver these things, or, you know, I always say smoke and mirrors. And I can assure you that would never happen, never, ever, ever happen. You know, if we have the knowledge, then you have the knowledge. That's the way, and that's the way it should be.
Michelle, just what is the lowest price you've seen in recent memory as far as with all the contracts that you've been looking at, as far as per kilowatt hour? Because like right now it's 0.067, 0.066.
Right. I could send you some charts of historical pricing. In 2012, we had a dip down because we had that no winter. So when no one's using natural gas, it helps electricity because natural gas is part of what makes up an electric price. You basically have coal, natural gas, wind, solar. Those are the things that that make up that pool of energy. So it did dip down slightly lower than this in 2012. Then 2013 took a big swing up, and this historically is most definitely one of the lowest points that we've seen in the last 10 years. And I mean, this is as simple as just Googling, natural gas historic pricing or electric historic pricing, and they come out, with these charts, and you'll see, I mean, there was a point where electric easily sold for 16 cents a kilowatt hour. Easily. I mean, 2008, natural gas was $1.40. Now you're looking at prices in the 40 cents range. Commodities have dropped tremendously. What's hurting Orange and Rockland customers is the delivery. That's what's really hurting us, because, and Central Hudson, the delivery keeps going up. So if you see some relief on the supply side, anytime you see rate hikes in the paper and, Orange and Rockland's going for another approval and this, it has nothing to do with the supply. It's all about, the maintenance of the infrastructure. Again, their salaries, their insurance, all that stuff comes out of your delivery. So, I always look at it in its simplest forms. They're the gas station, and you can't get around the expense to operate that gas station. But you can decide what tank you pull up to. And you want to pull up to the lowest tank possible when you're doing something like this. And that's really, it's that, I always say, if I can understand this, you can understand this. It's people look at their bills and it's so confusing. I do fault the utility a little bit I think it is a little confusing.
By
but,
design.
Yeah, but when you break it down, you'll see the bulk of it is delivery, and there's one line item that's supply. And that's what you're looking to compete with Orange and Rockland's 12-month average. You see their 12-month average is almost 10 cents. So if you lock in a rate in the 6 cents range, then why not?
So when?
I do have a question.
Oh, sure.
I know you're talking a lot about price, or somebody's concerned about price. Are you also looking about alternate forms of energy like wind power? Or is your sole focus really the bottom line as opposed to different forms?
Absolutely, I am all for doing anything that we can to help this earth. But I will tell you, Orange and Rockland, in their delivery expense, has a line item, I think it's RPS, renewable something. I can find out for you exactly what line it is. They collect $2 billion from their customer base to promote wind, to promote green energy, so we are paying for those programs. When a company calls you up and says that, do you have a pen just real quick? When a company calls you up and tells you that you can buy green power from us, or you can buy regular energy, thank you by the way. So Direct Energy, Intelligent Energy, whatever, all these energy companies are all required to buy a certain amount of green energy. It's again to promote these programs. Unfortunately, with every program that we come up with, there was a company, a town up in Massachusetts that wanted to close down their nuclear power plant. They put in wind, and then the wind was killing the birds and warming the earth, and everybody was all upset about that. So the best thing we can do is conserve. That's the best thing we can do. But don't fall for the company that calls you up and says, we can sell you green power for 11.9 and regular power for 7.9, because we're all drawn from the same pool. And they're required, just like everyone else, to contribute a certain amount of green energy to that pool. And that's probably about how much it is. So, I always say, do you think that we're getting our power from a windmill if we go for green energy, and the guy next door is getting it from the nuclear power plant? No. It's all fed into the same grid, and it all is pulled out of the same grid. And some of that is green. And hopefully these programs that Orange Rocket's collecting money for, those programs will continue to grow and feed that grid more green power. But don't pay so much more for green power unless you're really sure. Do your investigative work, check out, like Con Ed Solutions, they have a green power program and they have a regular power program. And I'm not 100% sure what, you know what I mean? What, how much is, and I do believe that some of these companies are certainly trying more than others. You know what I mean? I do believe that. And I just don't, I can't give you the breakdown. That would be for you to look into and make sure that, you know, it's all being pulled from, you know, I don't wanna like ramble.
Okay, thank you.
But if you have any other questions, I'd be, you know, I'm losing my voice. My husband's like, why don't you come home if you're losing your voice? I just wanna miss the momentous occasion, you know? But, anyway,
Thank you so much.
yeah, I don't know if you have any other questions, and certainly always feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help you. And I mean, my goal here really is that the village just doesn't, you know, re-sign because it looks like a good price. A small fraction of a difference in pricing can mean a lot to you guys. You know, it can mean a lot in taxpayer dollars. So
We appreciate it.
Thank you so
you
much.
let me know,
Yep.
you know.
We'll give you 6 to 8 weeks notice.
Yeah, exactly. Let
Thanks
me,
for coming.
I give you, I brought you guys some pens and I have my card on the,
Is this
exactly.
town village consumption on these streetlights?
Your streetlights use a lot of power.
It says town road lights, Highland Falls, is that the whole town or just the village of Highland Falls?
I have no idea.
I'll ask you to show me.
That would be, those were just an account listing that was given to me way back when I first came. Again, this is going back a few years ago when I first met with the village, but each time, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to come and see you early, because each time I tried to I want to say the first time was maybe 4 years ago and 2 years ago, but they're just re-signing rather than taking it to bid. But I don't think that you got a terrible price either. You know, it's not like somebody signs and it's 11 cents a kilowatt
No,
hour.
that looks like a decent number. Right,
Check what you're paying, I'm not sure.
right.
And check if it was affected by the Federal Energy Regulatory Committee, because it may have.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
Yeah, it may have been. So you might have agreed to, you know, a 6-point-something number that's now 7-point-something. Because every single solitary user on the grid was paid for that federal energy, you know, we all pay for it. Yeah, so anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll be in touch with you guys. Yeah.
Is PJ still back there?
Yes. Take care now. Excuse me, sorry. Takes
I want to get
long.
back on the road.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You all got a copy of my memo that I placed in your box today. The police department started a new program this year, and what we're gonna do is quarterly, we wanna recognize a police officer that, this isn't Sarge yet, we wanna recognize a police officer for their productivity. And there's certain ratings that we give them, and the one that comes up with the highest average after we put in the RAS, tickets and all this other stuff, they're recognized. And that officer is Grant, she's not here tonight. But I wanted the board also to know, we wanted to acknowledge Sergeant Troy, who has been at the police academy for the last 2 years. And in that short amount of time, he started out as a junior drill instructor, and now he's the chief drill instructor. It's the highest ranking drill instructor out there, and I just wanted to commend him for that, and also commend Officer Brandt for getting the first officer of the quarter.
Absolutely.
And I also want to congratulate PJ because he also went to Ken to get this program started, and together they put this thing together. And it's key, it's not just a, and now it's actually, I don't know if Ken mentioned it from the last meeting, now we're taking it to all the departments, because that's important. Recognition is important, and especially positive recognition when someone's done a good job. And I appreciate you guys for pushing that issue, and now all the departments will be working on that.
Sergeant Davey, I just gave it the blessings.
Beautiful thing.
He gets all the credit.
And I would like to congratulate Officer Brandt on receiving the first award for recognition for our officers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Public comment on agenda items. Reports, police. Kenny, you still there? Fire.
Fire.
Missed it.
I think Chief
Do you mind
Swarnis
if
is
the,
here.
this is the first meeting of the month? You want to read?
Come on up. While the chief is coming forward, I would point out that this is National EMS Week, and we should recognize our volunteers in the ambulance corps, like the mayor, and also the Highland Falls, Fort Montgomery, and West Point fire departments that also have EMTs riding.
The department held its 93rd annual installation dinner May 2nd to install its newly elected officials. Firefighting officers, administrative officers, and the board of directors were all sworn in by the Commissioner of Emergency Services for Orange County, Walt Corey. At the dinner, we handed out some awards. We had co-rookies of the year for Clarissa Scarano and Lynn Rush, and our firefighter of the year last year was Kim Lee. We had top responders, Ryan Gibson, Justin Lee, Jesse Marvin, John Rush, and Lynn Rush. And also receiving appreciation awards were Ken Conley, Bill Solon, Eric Smith, and Mickey Lee. We had the statewide Recruit New York campaign that was held, and we received a new applicant during that time, along with another applicant just a few days ago. So their application process is still going on. Once we get their physicals and all their paperwork, that will be submitting their applications for approval. And I think you have to do the next part of the new business to request the use of vehicles.
For the parade.
For the annual convention. We're going to request the use taking the old Chief's truck and Rescue 430. Only one day for the rescue, up and back the same day. So Lake George, June 18 through 21.
Under new business.
New business.
Tonight?
Yeah.
Maybe. Okay.
Thank you.
Wastewater. Wastewater. Sewer.
Can we get that? Okay. Average volume of wastewater, 9.946 million gallons a day, 3.5 inches of rain for the month of April. Facility metal, New York State permit act limitations. Elwood Lake pump stations on Havens Road checked regularly and operating properly. 9.2 tons of digested sludge processed through the belt filter press and disposed by Spectraserve. Belt filter press in operation 8 days. Catchment fencing, replace the road gate posts, and repair damaged fence panels. Chief John Chief Operator John Jones attended the department head meeting in Village Hall April 19th. Met with Trustee Howard at facility on the 13th. Checked on status of O'Neill High School sewer main blockage on the 22nd and 23rd. Repairs and maintenance, primary digester pump. Coaster Associates performed annual preventive maintenance and service. Primary digester mixing system pumps. Coaster Associates performed annual preventive maintenance on them also. Flow meter, transmitter, and chart recorder totalizer. ABB Inc. performed annual calibration. Secondary clarifier east path installed a new main drive chain out of service 1 day. Sanitary sewer system replacement dislodged manhole cover frame adjacent to the Little League field. Marked out 16 mains. Fred Cook was in with the jag vac truck for 4 days for the semi-annual cleaning and flushing of various sewer mains throughout the village. Maintenance lubrication of motors, machinery as required. Maintenance of buildings and grounds as time allowed, 25 days, Man hours lost due to sick, vacation, personal leave, and compensatory leave time, 14 days, I got that right. Gas consumption, 68.8 gallons. That's it.
Excellent. Is Steve still there?
Yes.
Do you have the request, like the actual trucks and everything that we need to pass this, or do we need to get that from Steve?
Yeah, it's the old chief.
As long as you,
car
yes, is,
and
you're good, okay.
Yes.
I just didn't want you leaving without us having the right information to,
Yeah, it's in the
Okay.
last page.
Thank you. I just wanna make sure we're good.
Okay.
Okay. Treasurer. Thank you. Yeah, just wanted to make sure you got what it
Okay, good evening. As we're coming toward the end of the fiscal year, the board's gonna see a lot of transfers and a lot of transfer requests to try to shore up our books. And you'll see on the revenue expense report that there are, a good couple dozen items that are gonna need to be brought back to zero on line items that are overspent. I've been, scouring the budget to look for areas to cover these costs, and we should be okay with that. But I'd like the board to just pay particular attention to the revenue expense reports so that you see where these transfers that are going to be coming up, where they're going to be going to. All right, because your retirements, police department retirements, and the back holiday and vacation time that's been accrued over the last 20 years is hitting you this year, even though you weren't able to budget for it. So a lot of this stuff is going to come up, and you're going to see a lot of large amounts of money moving to cover these expenses. And I don't want you to be alarmed by it, but it is tangible, and you have to be cognizant that it will lead into fund balance because it's legacy costs. Vacation, you had one retirement that cost the village almost $50,000 in back vacation and holiday. Okay, and that you don't budget for. So that's important with the coming of the end of the year. Reserve funds, the board earlier in the week, or last week, approved the funds to be put into the appropriate accounts. I have had conversations with the New York class system, which is used by quite a few municipalities in New York State, and I'm processing the application and expect to have those funds deposited into the New York class accounts, and those accounts will deal with the A, F, and G funds as you had budgeted for. In the New Year's budget that's coming up, you have appropriated certain amounts of money to go into these accounts, and we will do the same and bolster up those reserve funds. And I'll give you some options if you run into needing to replace items and so on, you'll have the reserve funds to be able to draw from. Fund expenditures for 2014 and 15, all department heads should have wrapped things up by Friday. Only necessary expenses and/or items like electric bills and so on need to, will come up as bills in the future. There is a request to have your final bills and claims approval to be on Thursday, the 28th. or on Friday, whatever the board's time allows you to be able to make those last transfers and approval of bills and claims. There will be a lot of transfers to get the different accounts back to zero. The state mandated government efficiency plan that all municipalities are required to submit, that is in the process of being prepared. Our required savings is 1% of our tax levy for 2014-15, and that account amounts to $29,900. We need to save that money for 3 consecutive years. It's not consecutive as far as you have to build and you have to have 90,000 by the end of 3 years. It's just you have to maintain the 29.9, effectively $30,000 savings each year. I know the village has approved of a proposal to get there, and that's what's going to be submitted to the state to qualify us for the efficiency plans to keep us in able to do the tax credit that municipalities have to pass your tax cap, and you have to stay within your tax cap, and you also have to have a local efficiency plan on file. Okay, so we'll be submitting that before the end of the month. And that's pretty much in a nutshell. A lot going on, just moving money around, but just bear with me, and we'll have this wrapped up by the end of the fiscal year. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Okay. All right,
I would just like to comment, you don't have to say it, but I would like to comment, a lot of departments do a lot of behind the scenes work that we don't see, and I'm glad that Sergeant Troy and Chief Scott put together the recognition program. Ed will never be eligible for any kind of recognition program because he's by himself. Put it out there. But I do have to mention, again, only being here for a year prior, seeing the difference in the time spent here in the village, making moves with our money, and so, you know, some of the large sums, and you know, we saved $400 here, and it was $400. Well, when he does it 6 times and he saves $5,000, and nothing else was charged to the village, this is happening on a regular basis. And where it possibly was more reactionary, we're doing a lot more prep and a lot more prior to needing to do it, where, you know, oh, we need money, so okay, we'll transfer it. We're looking ahead a lot more and being proactive. And I want to thank Ed, because I see the numbers on a regular coming down, and the work that's being put in is a lot, and I do appreciate the effort. Okay, the other reason why I held this off to the back end of the reports is because I also believe how important this is. First off, our board member Anthony Farina will hopefully be joining us very shortly. He's just finishing up his recovery on his surgery, and he will be back. He is biting at the bits to get back. He's got a lot of things he wants to do and a lot of input, and I'm excited when we get him back. And I want to continue to wish him a full recovery. But this last piece, when we talk about the different parts of the board, I really feel we have a very eclectic board that takes on different tasks. And though I feel that we are very good at, in the last 2 years, with trying to avoid problems and foresee issues, our newest member has definitely filled a slot that I should have pushed for harder when I got in, but is now being done. And that is getting everything down in writing, not just of what we're doing, but more importantly, our goals and where we are going to go, and set it down and talk about it and follow through with it. And Brian Allward has been working on that since he got in, and so he's got a initial report as we move forward on it.
This one first?
Either.
Okay. As the mayor said, these are procedures that we spoke about in April. So what we've done, we've got together and I've written them out, and they've been given to every department head, and they'll be discussed at our next department meeting. I'll just give you a quick summary if I may. We're looking at department heads to cut overtime by 5% from last year to our new current fiscal year. We're also looking that before you make a purchase, you must call down to the village hall. You must talk to one of the clerks and ask about the line that you're using to purchase materials. Make sure you have the money before you purchase the materials. The other issue that we're talking about is that, as our treasurer said, the bills have to be in at a certain time. We're now going to set a procedure that we want the bills sent to the mayor. We will be reviewing them. Department heads must notify the mayor in writing when an emergency takes place. No action can be taken unless the mayor approves the process in writing of buying equipment or materials. Now, we clearly understand that if a truck breaks down in the middle of winter, we're not going to hold up the process. But we do want to have accountability for the taxpayers to say, these are the procedures that will be used. Most assuredly, if there's an emergency like in the winter with a plow, we'll get it fixed. All department heads must put in writing why they're going to outside sources besides, like, let's say a garage here. We have 3 or 4 garages here. They need to put it in writing. No action can be taken unless the written reasons for using an outside source is approved. Also in writing, you must have 3 different purchases. We want to see the prices, and then we'll take action from there. These things are being done. I just like putting everything in writing, and that way everybody knows. We put it into the books, and everybody has a copy of it. The police department did a great job on Helmet Night. It was greatly appreciated by all the youngsters who showed up and their parents. Special thanks to Jennifer Brown, Officer Kyle Esposito, Chief Ken Scott, County Legislator was there, Jim DeSalvo. I think what people aren't understanding is you can be on a scooter and take a fall the wrong way, and you have serious brain damage, whether it be minimal brain damage or even worse than that. It's extremely important that youngsters wear helmets when they're doing a scooter, a skateboard, or a bike. The budget vote for the schools, it's happening tomorrow, and it's going to be from 6 a.m. to 9 o'clock tomorrow night, and it's going to be held at the middle school. I also want to congratulate the board members who came out and did a great presentation on the school propositions and the budget. There's also 2 openings on the board for next year for board members. Senior citizens, people have been coming up to me talking about, is there mold down there? We've discussed this already. There is no mold down there. Service Pro and some other people have given us written reports on that. So Tuesday is a meeting with the senior citizens, and I'll be asking Ms. Galoo and the committee to meet. We need to start getting regular meetings going on at our new center. So I will be meeting with them. And that's it.
A lot going on in the next month, so please make sure you keep an eye on Channel 23 and our local paper. As Brian stated, tomorrow is the vote. Please make some time to come out and be a part of the solution. This weekend is West Point graduation. Be aware of that as you come into the village, depending on the times you come in, so that you don't get caught up. If you're trying to get out of town, be careful which, if you're coming the main thoroughfare of Main Street, it may not be the way. Use some of the back roads, do what you have to do. But I hope all our local community enjoys the graduation. We do have O'Neill coming up. Obviously, it'll be a month and a half. We want to prep for that as well. We are looking for our business community, as well as anyone else that wants to get involved, to help us congratulate our graduates visually on our main street, from the school to the gate and wherever else in our village. So if you do want to be a part of that, please contact the village, because we do want to show our support and our congratulations for our graduates. Memorial Day is Monday. Next week. Just I'm waiting. Just give me the yes, okay. Memorial Day is next week, Monday. They have, the Rotary has asked that if there are people that are interested in helping plant the flags, please contact them. That was last weekend?
Yes.
Hopefully that happened well. Fantastic. We will be having a Memorial Day celebration on Monday at 9 a.m. Again, please watch Channel 23 and check the paper out for any information on that. That's 9 a.m. in Memorial Park on Memorial Day. Coming up in the beginning of June, Rolling Thunder will be coming through. We are going to have a presentation at Memorial Garden for that as well. And then at the end of June is the Freedom Ride, which one of our local residents, Mario Scalara, has put together a fantastic event to honor the veterans. And we're very excited about that. We do have our 4th of July celebration coming up. I bring that up early because the letters have gone out. We're hoping everybody did receive them. If you did not, that does not mean you can't donate. Please, feel free to drop a check off at the Village Hall. Checks need to be made out to the Village of Highland Falls within the memo for either 4th of July or Independence Day Committee, either or. Again, we are starting at a very low number because last year the account was depleted, so we need all the donations possible. I do want to commend the new committee, and in particular Desiree Talley for taking charge. I think she's doing a fantastic job along with the other committee members. There's always room for help, so we are looking for each and every person to step up to join that committee. There's only 4 or 5 committee members, and they're doing a fantastic job. And this past weekend was the Art Walk. I would really like to thank all the people that came out. It was an excellent event. I have to throw out just a few comments. The main comment is to Tom Osa. For those people that were at the event, he put on about 6 different hats within a matter of 15 minutes. He was rocking on the drums with the band that was under the pavilion. He emceed a little bit of the event. He represented his company as part of the chamber. He also represented himself as the head of the chamber. And he kept going, and he was here. And I like to bring up Tom because Tom is a great representation of a volunteer. He's not from our community, but he has basically become part of our community because of all the time that he gives us. And I also want to send a big thank you to Dr. Nicole Shea. Yes, it took a group of people to put it together, but it was countless hours on Dr. Shea's part that brought us to the final culmination for the Art Walk. And we made an announcement the day of the Art Walk. One of our main pieces on the Art Walk has now been donated permanently to the village, and we are going to be looking for a spot to put that. And that's very exciting that we actually have, one of the artists decided to donate, I'm told it's a $300,000 piece to the village, and very excited about that. I'd like to thank all the people that came out that day. It was, again, a great day. Okay. Under new business, I need a motion to approve the minutes as written May 4th, 2015, and May 13th, 2015. Do I have a motion? Motion from Bob, second from Brian. All those in favor?
Just one minor change on May 4th.
Okay.
Where we're talking about the application being made for this building. I think where we say make the building more viable, we might want to say, as discussion was, make it more handicapped accessible, because that's going to make us a priority on the grant.
I believe the grant is going to say that, and I have no problem putting that in the wording, but handicap accessibility obviously is the chief piece, but viability for the entire building is there. I have no problem putting both.
Okay.
A handicap accessibility more viable, that's not a problem. Is anyone have a problem adding that, make sure? Because that is the highlight of the grant, to make sure that we actually get it. And if, the priority will be, depending if we don't get the full amount, the priority is gonna be handicap accessibility.
Just in case a copy of these minutes has to go with the application.
Not a problem. Is everyone okay with that? As, all right, so I have a motion and a second. Do I have a motion on the adjustment of the minutes?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we need to set a meeting for the year-end fiscal for bills and claims, and that date is for Thursday, May 28th at 9 a.m. So I have a motion to set that date. First, before we do that, it's next Thursday at 9 a.m. Do I have two other board members that can make that? You can. So if you guys can't make it, then we have to change that.
This coming Thursday, is it?
No.
Or the one after?
The one after that.
Okay, 20th, I'll try to get there. I'll get there, gotta get there. Is this, that's the only thing we got to table, and vote on?
Yep.
Okay,
It's just like last year.
okay, no problem.
9 o'clock?
9 o'clock. Good to go?
Yeah, fine.
Okay. Do I have a motion to set that date?
You should go.
Second?
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we have a couple budget transfers. I need a motion to approve the transfer from PFRS to contingency at the amount of $45,000.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I need a motion to transfer $20,000 from A9030.08 to A1199.1990. Do I have a motion?
You do.
Second.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Any motion to transfer $20,000 from police contractual to contingency? Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'd like to congratulate all the new officers from the Highland Falls Fire Department, as well as all those that were awarded, actually the awards, more so, at their event. Fort Montgomery also had theirs this past weekend. I'd like to congratulate them as well. When you look around, we are just between the three volunteer organizations. This community is definitely blessed by the amount of hours that are put in, and the amount of hours that you'll never see that those organizations put into this community. All right, I need a motion to
allow the, I'll move that the fire department be allowed to take car 2 and the rescue vehicle to the Hudson Valley Parade for the June 18th through 21st annual celebration up there.
do I have a motion? That's a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Question. The rescue truck is the small truck, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yes, we are not
And the
taking
car is
it.
just a regular.
It's the old regular.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I need a motion to accept the bills and claims for the fiscal year 14-15 in the amount of $76,939.72.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public comment.
Surprise, surprise, you have public comment.
If you would. Just in front of Bill, towards the camera. Over here, that's fine.
Oh, I would have dressed up if I knew. Anyway, I'm from the Garden Club and want to say how thrilled we are to be able to participate in making our community and keeping our community as beautiful as it is. And you know, there's been a little bit of question and concern about some of the new beautification, and so we're thrilled that the center statue has been donated to the village. And we're also hoping that very quickly, the village finds a spot for it outside of the garden, because we would like to continue our summer planting so that we can keep that garden viable, and so we can continue to water it, and of course, maintain it for the fall and fall. So, thanks very much, and we're here to make us beautiful. Continue to make us.
Thank you. Board comment?
Any recommendations on the location for that?
Well, Fran, do you want to say your
As long as it's not in the garden.
No, I mean, you know, you guys
No.
are very concerned with it. I'm just wondering if, what's a good spot if, when they're ready to go, relocate the.
well, sooner rather than later.
Okay.
We had a couple of ideas, just as citizens, not,
Well, that, we just,
okay.
better you than us to make that selection, I
Well,
would think.
we're all part of it, we're all together. So the Memorial Park has a beautiful venue. We've got the clock at one end, we've got that nice center fountain. So I don't know if anything can be worked out with the fountain. But the other thing is, at the north end of town, we've got that nice little median. There's the triangular part that USAA cares for, then there's the rectangular garden club garden.
Right.
Then there's a bench in quite a nice large space, and there is some open green area, and that might be a very pretty way to anchor the north part of town.
And the art walk didn't go that far, so there is sort of a blank spot.
Okay. Good suggestion.
And we're happy to help.
I do have 2 or 3 things to talk to the group about. So I do want everything to put together, and we're gonna need your help with
You
that.
bet,
Okay?
you bet.
Meaning I want Ruth to stick around.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay. Board comment?
Board comment, today, I spent most of the day at a conference on infrastructure.
Nice.
And I brought back materials. Tom DiNapoli, the state controller, was keynote for lunch. He's talking now in terms not only of the normal capital planning of 6 years, he's recommending that we look at a 20-year horizon. It was a very, very informative conference overall, and I brought back notes and all manner of paraphernalia. And I haven't digested it all, but I think we made some good contacts with Congressman Maloney there as well. So it was a good way to spend the day.
Excellent. Thank you. Paul?
In the second week in June, or second meeting in June, I'd like to bring in a gentleman, I'd like to get him on the agenda to do an LED thing for all the streetlights in the village. There's a couple of guys I called, both of them I'm gonna ask for proposals and have them come in and speak with us at different times. There's a substantial savings that can be recouped from the LEDs, even with financing. Life expectancy is pretty good, the color rendition is great now. One of the things that may solve some of the problems we have, a lot of the streetlights have ability to have cameras in them in troubled areas, which I really thought that the police may be interested in. And it's just, there's some savings here now. It's a good product now, and even with financing, I think the payback is about 5 or 6 years out, so it may be, and still a pretty good reduction on the bill. So we're gonna entertain a couple gentlemen come in and give their spiel, and we'll see where we go from there.
Excellent.
All right?
Brian?
I'm gonna be meeting with the sergeant and the chief tomorrow, after the senior citizen meeting.
I have about 20 different things, but I don't really, can be done another time. The one thing I want to say is that after we met last, we did decide as a board, and we put it out there, obviously consolidation's always been our main item and our focus. But as most people know, no matter whether it's an elected official, your job, whatever, you know, you have all these plans to get done, and you get in there, and the day-to-day takes over. And now you find you're a year down the road, and yes, you've moved forward on the planning, but not the meat of the consolidation. And now we're 2 years down the road. So when we talk about some of the issues in the village, some major issues that we need to tackle, this board is finding that the answer to some of the major issues in the village is consolidation. So I just want to put it out to the public once again, this board has refocused and relooked, and though we're not going to put aside any day-to-day items, we're going to put the majority of our time and effort to make sure that, one, the community is informed about the positive effects of consolidation. We're not throwing it down anyone's throat. We know as a board that once all the information is put together, this community will, without question, love consolidation. There's no question in my mind. Watch it. But we're not going to, obviously we don't move forward without the public. There will be a vote, and we want to make sure you're as informed as possible. If there is, again, we want to let people know, we have put information out. After this meeting, at every meeting, there'll be more consolidation information put out. Whether it's just a few numbers, whether it's just about a specific department, there will be information. And as we do it, we're looking for anyone who has concerns or problems with what's going on with consolidation to get those as soon as possible. One, so we can dispel the rumors. Two, so if there is a problem that we're not aware of that we're getting from state, it can be fixed. Or in three, if consolidation just doesn't work for this community, and we come up with that answer, which after all the research that I've seen, it's definitely the answer. But if that's the case, then that's how we will proceed. And we will proceed with the entire community in mind, because that, in my opinion, is the only way that we'll not just survive here, but thrive. We're done surviving. The people that have not moved out and moved south have survived. We're done surviving. It's time to thrive. It's time to not worry about having to make the tax payment. It's how can I get my friend to move here because it's so great. That's where you have to move to. And that's all. With that, I would ask for a motion to close. Motion. Do I have a second? I need a motion, I'm sorry, to move into executive session for individual and personnel matters. Motion, second. All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Gina, before you turn off the camera, Gina, hour and 15 minutes. I'm sorry, we're gonna be done exactly in about 5 minutes. All right, I was actually, without that presentation, would have been out of here way before 8.
Yeah.
Don't hate me.
Well, this is yours from the,